dear brother and sister in Islam, on your work outside with the guidance given to his Prophet Muhammad is the best guidance. I bear witness that there is no need but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He sent his messenger Muhammad with guidance to the whole world. And I bear witness that Muhammad delivered the message and fulfilled the trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed in him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us in the Quran to
remain conscious of Him and promise those who are conscious of Him great reward in this life and in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Those who remain conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find always an exit for them from their difficulty or adversity, and will provide for them from wherever they did not expect. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be and to remain conscious of Him, so that we can get the reward in this life and the hereafter, inshallah. In about 2 weeks, we are going to leave behind the current Hijri year and we'll start a new Hijri year. And that reminds us of the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina. And there are many lessons that we can learn from this hijrah and the behavior of the Prophet ﷺ during this period of time. And one of these lessons which would help us to navigate our life on this earth is the lesson of the at-tawakkul ala Allah, putting our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever puts his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is sufficient for him. So tawakkul ala Allah has two components, two main components. The first component is that we do our best. We cannot just sit down and say we are putting our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created results and created reasons and causes, and it is incumbent on us to, if we really want to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have first to do whatever we can, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us talents, gave us skills, so that we can deal with our lives and the problems of our lives. And we would not be mutawakkilin ala Allah unless we do our best first in achieving or trying to achieve what we are trying to do. So the first component is a human component. It is our component, and we have to work very hard to accomplish this. The second component of trusting, putting our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the creator, as the provider, as the generous, as the just. And we believe that everything that will happen to us has been decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we cannot achieve any result, no matter how effort we have done, we cannot achieve any result unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees that result. And part of that component is that we have to believe that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed to us is the best of us. Sometimes we work very hard to achieve a certain thing and we don't get it. And that's why, and that's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want us to get that result. But Later on, we realized that that was the best thing that would have happened to us. If we got what we wanted, then it would have been far worse than what we when we didn't get it. So we have to do our part. We have to believe that the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that whatever He has decreed for us is the best for us. As long as we put our trust in Him, He will give us the best, inshallah. When you look at the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, you find a very clear example of this tawakkul ala Allah. The Prophet ﷺ did his part and left the rest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him what He promised. When you look at the history of the hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ started planning for the hijrah 3 years before the actual hijrah took place. That day we went to Taif, and he was greeted with bad words and bad treatment. He realized that there is no hope in this part of the world to believe in the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in the meantime, he was hopeful that maybe the later generation would believe, and that's why he did not want them to be completely destroyed. When Sayyidina Jibreel came to him to console him after that experience in Taif, and he said, if you let me, I would bring these two mountains together and squeeze all of them between them. And he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, no, let them go. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create from their loins people who would believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His message. And that's what happened when the Muslim went back to Mecca, and they opened Mecca, and everybody became a believer. So on that day, but he realized on that day that there is he cannot do anything to these people. So his attention was directed towards the people from the Medina. First year, he met people coming from Medina to Hajj. He was able to attract 2 people. The second year, 12 people. The third year, 73 people. And he sent with them one of his companions to teach them Islam and to teach them Quran. So the planning for Medina, for the Hijrah in Medina, started 3 years actually before the actual Hijrah. And that's human planning, because he wanted to create a base in Medina so that when the people from Mecca go there, they would find a welcoming environment. We have to remember that these people were tribal people. Every tribe is closed on itself, and if you come from another tribe, then you are a stranger. So the Prophet ﷺ wanted to make an environment in Medina so that when the Muhajirin go, they would find a welcoming environment there. And that's why it took that long to prepare the people of Medina to accept the newcomers. But also the Muhajirin, the people of Mecca, also needed that much time to get used to idea of hijrah, because again, because of the tribal life, if you go outside of your tribe, you are not safe. You are not worth anything. Anybody can do anything with you. So it had to take that long time to convince them that going with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much more better and stronger than going with their tribes. And they left their homes, they left their families, and they went to Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ as a leader remained at the very end when everybody who wanted to go to Medina, migrate to Medina, left. And when he decided, or when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that this is the time to go, he started the actual planning for the trip. First, he chose his companion. He chose Abu Bakr to be his companion during the trip. Abu Bakr used to go to the Prophet ﷺ. He would see people leaving Mecca, and he would go to the Prophet and say, "Can I go?" And the Prophet would say, "No, you stay with me," until the day that they went together. He asked Abu Bakr to buy the camels for the trip and prepare the camels for a long trip. He asked Abu Bakr to hire a guide. And this is another thing that we learn from this. That guide was a mushrik. He was not a believer. But he was an expert in his field, and he was to be trusted. These two conditions are the conditions or the criterion for selecting people that you want to hire to do a job. There is no use of hiring a believer who cannot do the job, because the job is not going to be done. But don't hire anyone whom you cannot trust, because this is an amana, and you have to know that that person has to fulfill the amana. Then when the Prophet wanted to go out, he was surrounded by the disbelievers. They were camping around his house, waiting for him to come out so that they can kill him. And what he did is that he let Ali to sleep in his bed, so that every time they look through the window, the mushrikeen, the kuffar of Mecca, would think that he's sleeping in his bed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enabled him to go out of his house without being seen. And that's the part of tawakkul that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the part of tawakkul that we said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do the best for you, will help you achieve what He wants you to achieve. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. These people were sitting around the house of the Prophet ﷺ, waiting for him to come out so that they can kill him. And but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them, He put a barrier in front of them, a barrier behind them so that they cannot see, and then He made their eyes to go to sleep. So they didn't actually, the Prophet ﷺ went out of his house, but he was not seen. And that's the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet didn't have anything to do with this, but his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him that blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he went out and Abu Bakr, they chose a way that's different from the regular way to Medina, because he knew that they will send, when they realize that he left, they will send people after him. So he chose to go to a cave and stay in that cave for 3 days. And during these 3 days, Sayyidah Asma would come and bring food and bring news to them. And when she leaves, her brother would come with a herd of sheep to walk behind her so that he can remove the traces that she left. All of this is human planning. But then, even though they did all of this, the mushrikeen were able to trace him back to that cave. And they went to the cave. And they stood in front of the cave. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent his soldiers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he has many soldiers that you do not know. So he sent a spider who made a curtain on the door of the cave, and he sent the pigeons who laid eggs in front of the cave. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr was worried about this. He would look up and see the feet of the kuffar looking for them. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, لا تحزن إن الله معك. Do not be saddened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. And that's the part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessing of tawakkul ala Allah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you to achieve your results without any effort from you. You do your share, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised you the reward. So the mushrikeen saw this and said, well, no way there is anybody inside the cave, and they left. They left, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam went on their way. A man by the name of Suraqa, when Quraysh realized that they lost any hope in finding the Prophet, they waged 100 camel as a prize for anyone who can get them information about the Prophet ﷺ. So this man, who was an expert in following the traces on the sand, so by the name of Suraqa, he was able to trace the Prophet ﷺ. And he went after him until he was able to see the Prophet and Sayyidina Abu Bakr. And suddenly his horse fell down, and the horse refused to move. And Suraqa was surprised. What is going on? And he said, the Prophet ﷺ told him, go back. He said, okay, I'm going back. When he said, I'm going back, the horse stood up. But he was looking for the prize, 100 camels. So he tried to pursue the Prophet ﷺ once more. And once more, the horse would fall down. And this repeated in 3 times. And Suraqa realized that there is a force beyond him and above him that controls the situation. And he said, finally, if you let me go, I'll go, and I'm not going to tell anybody about this. But give me a price for this. And the Prophet ﷺ promised him something that they will get, the Muslims will get from the treasures of Kisra, the king of Persia. And the man lived long enough to get that price. But you can see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this man, there was nothing to prevent him from getting to the Prophet, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the horse not to allow him to do that. So here, the Prophet ﷺ did his part, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him for that, because the tawakkul ala Allah has a great reward and a great price. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. I chose to talk about this, and maybe we have talked about it several times, but we need to be reminded, because very often we say, yes, tawakkaltu ala Allah, but we really do not put in the ingredients of tawakkul ala Allah. You need to do all what you can, and you need to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the best result then that is good for you, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you with the reward that He blessed the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and the other prophets. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us practice tawakkul ala Allah as the best we can, and make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our deeds in endeavoring to be mutawakkilin ala Allah. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم لا تجعل لنا في هذا اليوم العظيم ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا حاجة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا يرحمكم الله. Straighten your lines. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين آمين. والكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه في ليلة مباركة إنا كنا منذرين فيها يفرق كل أمر حكيم أمرا من عندنا إنا كنا مرسلين رحمة من ربك إنه هو السميع العليم. رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إن كنتم موقنين لا إله إلا هو يحيي ويميت ربكم ورب آبائكم الأولين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله